Hi, how you doing? Israel is getting ready to attack Iran. Trump, in a recent interview, said he was asked if Israel goes to war with Iran, will they drag us into it? And he goes, "No, I'll lead the pack." Oh no! But shit's hitting the fan. This strike is seemingly imminent, according to like fucking New York Times and CBS and the fake news. And then Trump is being asked about it. Things are getting picked. Things are heating up quickly. And I've said it before, and I've been quoted. If there was ever a nation stupid enough to start World War III, it's Israel. And it looks like we may be headed right into that. So before we dive into these articles and videos, let me just remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It costs you absolutely nothing, and it helps me immensely. If you do want to help the channel financially, there's a handful of ways you could do it. You could become a member here on YouTube for $5. You could become a patron over on Patreon for $5. If you do that, you'll get access to the Valenti Bros show and the Valenti show. Those are two different shows that are for members and patrons only. You can buy Valenti Videos merch located right down below. And you could use a 40% off discount code for the Ground News Vantage subscription located in the discount below. Other than that, you can donate money by like super chatting and sending me donations. But oh, say, let's do it. Israel appears ready to attack Iran. Officials in the United States and Europe say concern about a strike and the prospect of retaliation led the United States to withdraw diplomats from Iraq and authorize the voluntary departure of U.S. military family members from the Middle East. So we are sending home all of our non-essentials, I guess, right? Israel appears to be preparing to launch an attack soon on Iran, according to officials in the United States and Europe. A step that could further inflame the Middle East and derail or delay efforts by the Trump regime to broker a deal to cut off Iran's path to building a nuclear bomb. The concern about a potential Israeli strike and the prospect of retaliation by Iran led the United States on Wednesday to withdraw diplomats from Iraq and authorize the voluntary departure of U.S. military family members from the Middle East. Mr. Trump waved, we're going to skip, what the fuck? It is unclear how extensive the attack in Israel might be preparing, but the rising tensions come in months after the prime minister pressed Trump to cease. All right, so by the way, this is all coming as these deals are going on. We have, like, this could be like a bluff to try and get the deals on Sunday to work out right, but Trump doesn't have the cards. Israel has the cards, and it seems like Israel is more than willing to go into this fight because they know that they'll never go in alone. America will always back them off. Mr. Trump waved off another plan by Israel several months ago to attack Iran, insisting that he wanted a chance to negotiate a deal with Tehran that would choke off Iran's ability to produce more nuclear fuel for a bomb. 2 weeks ago, Mr. Trump said he had warned Mr. Netanyahu about launching a strike. Let's see. Do they got a video see of this? No, they don't. I don't think they have it. Anyway. Here's what we got
and now
from
to the
CBS.
Middle East, where tensions are high over reports that Israel is ready to launch an operation against Iran. Multiple sources tell CBS News U.S. officials have been alerted, raising concerns that Tehran could retaliate on certain U.S. sites in neighboring Iraq. The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad is advising American citizens to not travel to the country. And the State Department has ordered non-emergency U.S. government personnel to leave Iraq. President Trump was asked about the situation just last night.
We're hearing reports that U.S. personnel are being moved out of the region.
This is after this fat orange fuck saw Les Mis at the Kennedy Center. And he got booed relentlessly. We've got footage of that too. Dude, I wonder if he even understands what Les Mis is about. Bitch, is this play about us? Like, I guarantee you there's no fucking shot he can comprehend Les Miserables. No shot.
Within striking distance.
Well, they are being moved out because it could be a dangerous place, and we'll see what happens. But they are, and we've given notice to move out. We'll see what happens.
Is there anything that can be done to dial the temperature down in the region?
They can't have a nuclear weapon.
Melania's like, I do not want to be here. I do not love this man. Send me home.
Very simple. They can't have a nuclear weapon. we're not going to allow that.
All right, so we are joined now by John Hudson, national security reporter for The Washington Post. John, thank you so much for joining us today. What can you tell us about the timing of all of this if Israel does, in fact, take action?
Well, there's a few things to consider when it comes to the timing. One of them is for several weeks now, U.S. intelligence officials have been increasingly concerned that the Israelis may strike Iran without the consent of the United States. And so that has
yes,
been...
bro, because Trump said in a fucking interview, which we covered, go back and watch the video, we covered this. Trump said, he was asked, if Israel strikes Iran, will we be dragged into a war? And he goes, no, I will lead the pack. We will not be dragged into a war because I'll lead the pack. They don't need consent because they already fucking have it, brother.
A steady
Am I too loud?
Of
Am I too
intelligence
loud?
reports that have circulated within the United States government, placing an alert warning, and in anticipation of that, the State Department leadership sent out a cable to all embassies that are in the striking distance of Iran, saying you need to come up with a security plan. And you need to report back to Washington what mitigation risks you're going to be taking part in. And those have since gone back to Washington. And starting yesterday, they made the decision that they were going...
Our nation does not waste money on flying people home from the Middle East unless it's serious, bro. There's no shot this is all a fucking bluff. Donald Trump is the worst negotiator of all time. He fucking bankrupted a Nino. How do you bankrupt a Nino?
To shrink the presence of the
I'm Nino.
U.S. mission in Iraq, shrink the presence in a few other places for non-essential employees. And for the Pentagon, they decided that all family members of military people are authorized to depart across the Middle East. And another thing to consider about the timing is President Trump has spoken more pessimistically about the nuclear deal with Iran that he's trying to negotiate. So all of those things...
The nuclear deal that he's trying to negotiate. Meanwhile, King Dolan is the one who pulled out of the fucking Iran nuclear deal simply because Obama had his signature on it. For fuck's sake, we had a grip on this for a while. We've been negotiating with Iran for 56 months. And now we've reached the point where Israel is ready to bomb them. That's a fucking failure.
Same time, and really raised concerns that this is a moment that the Israelis might choose to strike.
Yeah, and so UN monitors, they have said that Iran is not complying with nuclear regulations. So how does this factor into this current situation?
Yeah, well, so it's just the latest information that we have that, ever since President Trump in the first term decided to pull out of the Iran nuclear deal, Iran has continued to develop its nuclear capacity, and it's continued to enrich uranium. Iran was complying with the nuclear deal, according to...
You see this map, bro? Mark my fucking words. This might as well be a strike facility. This might as well be targets. I bet you Israel's got this same map, the same things, but they are targets. I'm willing to bet fucking money on that, 100%.
To U.S. Intelligence officials, but after Trump pulled out, it started expanding its reach. The Israelis have said that they would strike if Iran was close to developing a nuclear weapon, and they've also said that the U.S. personnel would be potential targets because the United States is the biggest political, financial, and military backer of the state of Israel. So it's really all of these things have come together to put a lot of pressure in the White House. Is it going to greenlight an Israeli strike? Are the Israelis going to go ahead without the United States? And what would that mean for these very delicate negotiations, which are supposed to continue?
How coincidental that all of this military equipment is being brought into Washington, D.C., the largest military parade in our nation's fucking history. between 45 and 90 million dollars. And meanwhile, World War III may fucking begin. I know, breaking news in New York City, Iran has taken the lead. Our work is paying off. But, you know, does anyone else find that fucking coincidental? That all this fucking shit's being brought into D.C.?
On Sunday.
Yeah, all very important questions there. John Hudson, national security reporter for The Washington Post. Once again, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate your insight. All right, for more on this, we are joined by CBS News Pentagon reporter Ellie Watson. Ellie, good to see you today. What can you tell us about what sources are saying so far?
Several officials have told CBS that Israel is ready, fully ready to launch a strike on Iranian's nuclear enrichment sites if they decide to. We're told they've been ready for several weeks, but what we've seen in the last few days, as John mentioned, was that the embassy in Baghdad is drawing down some personnel. The Pentagon allowed military families to leave the area voluntarily. Those two signs point to this is getting closer. John raised the point of that Israel could go forward without U.S. participation. Officials have told us the U.S. has been weighing whether or not to not directly participate, participate in a joint attack, but whether to provide things like aerial refueling or some intelligence. Unclear
aerial refueling
right now what the
brother. That's fucking collaboration. That's the same fucking thing, bro. What the fuck are we talking about, dog? Brother, if the Nazis invaded Poland and then, I don't know, the Soviets helped fuel up their vehicles, yeah, the Soviets participated. And also, that's coincidental because the Soviets and the Nazis literally invaded Poland at the same time. But, like, what are we talking about?
Plan is, but as we heard President Trump say last night at the Kennedy Center, they're drawing down some personnel from the region because it could be a dangerous place.
And Ellie, I think it's important to note that this is happening as talks over Iran's nuclear program and negotiating that continues. So I guess what is going to come out of this?
Hey, we only provide the weapons, the targets, the constant surveillance, the materiel, and like unironically, we literally provide them with the targets. We fucking create these problems in the first place.
Are they still planning to meet to continue those negotiations, or does this put an end to that?
As of right now, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is expected to go to Amman on Sunday to participate in the 6th round of these negotiations. The U.S. wants to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon diplomatically, but President Trump last night, after saying that the Middle East could be a dangerous place, said that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. So the negotiations continue. Whether or not there's an agreement on enrichment still needs to be worked out. But the clock is ticking because you have this threat from Israel being fully ready, if it decides to strike sites in Iran.
Yeah, the clock is definitely ticking. Ellie Watson for us at the Pentagon, thank you so much for your time.
Jesus Christ. Brother, I'm like worried that if Israel actually strikes Iranian nuclear sites, that Iran has some secret nuclear weapon, and that Iran will launch a nuclear weapon at Israel, Israel will launch a nuclear weapon at Iran, and then bang, we got like fucking global thermonuclear war. Because I genuinely believe, and I've talked about this, guys, this is the problem with giving nuclear weapons to fucking religious ethno-states. Iran is an ethno-state and Israel is an ethno-state. Two different religions. They both believe they're chosen by God, and then if you give them nuclear weapons, this is what happens. This is why I always say, I don't support any fucking ethno-state, and if you want to be an ethno-state, then you can't have a nuclear bomb. You can't have a nuclear bomb. You want to know why we don't see the Vatican causing problems like this? They don't have a nuclear bomb. If the Vatican had a nuclear bomb, trust me, they'd be doing fuck shit daily, because a nuclear bomb gives you negotiation power on the world stage. Anyway, listen. If you're watching this pre-recorded on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It costs you nothing, and it helps me immensely. Also, help me out financially. I need money. And then click that video right over there. I promise you, it's a fucking banger.